Hey everyone. Hey Heinz, hey Pia. We need to have a talk, Pia, one day. It was a long time. Hello. I hope you're well awake today, because I'd like to have some interesting conversation about the referendum initiated by the citizens and bringing some new concepts in people's consciousness that you maybe haven't been introduced to before. Hi Gina. Thank you, Gina. I'm doing my best. Please share this live on your page so we can bring more people, because these ideas needs to be vastly spread. I'd like to update you guys on what's happening in France, but also some background about the referendum initiated by the citizen, because I felt that a lot of people are still not completely in line with the understanding of what the RIC is about. Hi Peter, hi Susie. Yes, I'm well, thank you. Hi William, good morning. It's actually 12 here. So for those of you who didn't know, like yesterday I met one of the strongest promoter of the French Revolution for the last 10-15 years. His name is Etienne Chouard, and we spent some time together. There was a huge event, and he made an amazing presentation of the referendum initiated by the citizen to a crowd of people who most of them were not really aware of what it is. So it was very interesting. So I'd like to take that opportunity today. Like, does any of you have some specific questions about what is the RIC? What is the RIC? How to implement it? What are the essential concepts behind it? Like, if you have any question, please ask me, because it seems that there's still a lot of people who are not completely aware of how it works, and yeah, it's important to speak about it, because referendum the referendum initiated by the citizen is a constitutional right to trigger national referendum from our own initiative. This is the global definition, but it's going way beyond that. Yesterday during the assembly, like there was an assembly yesterday, there was probably, I think, 1,500 people in the room, which is a lot. Like 1,500 people in the room is a lot. Especially considering that the room and that the place, the city, was like a tiny little town. It wasn't like a big city, it was just a tiny little space. And it actually showed how people are really thirsty for understanding. And we've been programmed to believe that people are not interested in politics and people are not interested in their future in general. But this is not true at all. People are really interested about all this, but we are surrounded by liars. We are surrounded by false information, false program who makes us believe that politics is about choosing our masters, basically. And choosing our masters is not the solution. Choosing our masters, like the concept of electing someone, which is very different from voting. Voting, like they actually trick us to believe that when you vote for someone, you are voting. And everyone needs really to understand the fundamental distinction between the word vote and the word electing. So electing is when you give your power away. And when you listen to the music, when you listen to the music of the words, electing, election, elite, that's EL principle, like that L has the same connotation, and it's not a coincidence that when you elect someone, you give your power away. Like electricity is power. When you're electing someone, you are giving your electricity, your energy away. It's not yours anymore. And this is why when the people are elected, they go on charge. They take charge. The same way a battery is charging with our electricity, with our power. Okay? It's very important for people to understand how words have a specific meanings. So sharing this group, how is this decision made to elect person into government, and how will follow RIC process? Yes, so the RIC, which is basically the idea, the concept that people should be able to initiate their own decision, which is a real revolution in people's mind, like, because basically we've been infantilized, we've been considered as infant, we've been considered as incapable people, not capable of making decisions for themselves. And this is something that really needs to change. And this is really deeply ingrained in our educational process. This is the way I see it. We've been educated to believe that information needs to be given by people like me, for example. Like, people believe that I have a power over you, that I have the knowledge over you, that I'm here to give you away. Well, I can do it the way I do it right now. But you guys can actually do exactly what I did, which is to spend hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours on YouTube, learning from everything that you can get access to. Like, I'm just a human being the same way as you are. The only difference between you and I, most of you, because I also know that a lot of you guys did a lot of research, is first, I never limited myself in what I should or should not study. That's the first point. Never ever presume if something is interesting or not. So I studied like agriculture, poetry, history, geometry, politics, monetary creation, quantum physics, science, astrology, astronomy, everything. Never curiosity, your consciousness into a space where you will decide what are you interested in or not. This is the first fundamental aspect of becoming a human. Becoming a human is being capable of being curious of everything. And this is the best attributes of kids, of children. Children do not say, oh, I'm not interested in that, or I'm not interested in that. They're just like, yeah, they can say that, but it's most of the time due to, first, because they're too young, and second, because the way we expose it is sometimes, or very often, not funny, because we need to bring joy in every aspect of what we do. Everything needs to be a game, and we lost that when we become an adult, like especially when we've been programmed through that very barbaric way of educating people. When people need to sit down for hours, for example, and listening to a tall person telling you that you're basically ignorant and stupid, and if you can't resolve that equation, you don't even deserve to be in the room, which is very insulting. It's shaming people. And we need to realize that. It's very important for everyone to realize that the way we've been educated over the last 200, 500 years, whatever, is based on that pyramidal structure. Okay, you have that person above you that basically look at you from above and tell you what is right, what is wrong, what you should, what you shouldn't do, and you, which is below, that is looking above, say, oh, please spare my life. No, I don't deserve your time. Like, this is not okay. This is absolutely not okay. Like, I hope everyone can starting to feel and starting to realize that the way we've been educated about things in life is actually it's actually generated around the concept of belief. The same way people who believe in something, believe in a religion especially, will absorb information without questioning it. Okay, that's the common basis of it. It's about, okay, some wise guy wrote a book and yeah, you have to suck it up, you have to learn it, and you have to integrate it, and it needs to become part of your life. The same way we've been educated about things, about facts, about like equation, mathematics, about history, like without bringing that nuance about, wait a second, do we have perspective on all that? Let's take an example. Do we have 10 fingers? Yes or no? Thumbs up if it's yes, or angry if it's no, let's say. Do we have 10 fingers? Let's say most of the people will say, yes, we have 10 fingers. I say, oh, wow, okay. So are you telling me that right now you see 10 thumb, for example? Do you see 10 thumb? No. You see a thumb, an index, a major, a ring, a pinky. Okay, cool. Okay, so when we say we have 10 fingers, we are saying basically that we have 10 identical fingers. This is the way our brains understand it. Okay? The true reality of it, or a perspective that you can actually give on that, is that I have 5 fingers, yes, which have specific attributes, and I have another 5. Okay, I have 5 and 5. Okay, and they are actually symmetrical. So I can recognize an axe of symmetry in my body that actually define a left aspect of myself and a right aspect of myself. So logically, if we're really coherent with ourselves, we should actually say, I have 5 left finger and 5 right finger. Because the fact of saying that we have 10 digits, 10 fingers, is actually not true. It's actually not true. Like we have 10 piece of flesh getting out of our hand, let's say. But if we define each piece of flesh getting out of my hand as a piece of finger, let's call it a finger, then I have to recognize that there's more attributes to it. Let's say that there's 2 which are similar, 2 which are similar, 2 which are similar, and work by pair. And this is a very fundamental experience. It's absolutely not the same thing to say that we have 10 fingers and saying that we have 5 left and 5 right, and that both are symmetrical and have specific attributes. In your brain, it generates such a whole different perspective on yourself. It's like saying, okay, we have 2 eyes, and saying, okay, I have 1 eye and 1 eye, 1 left and one right eye. And they're both giving perspective on reality. Because we don't really know how we see. Like, we can only experiment that when we shut 1 eye. And this is that exercise that we need to do all the time. Changing perspective on what we think we know. All the time, every time. Because every time you change those perspectives, every time you move somewhere else, you discover something new. You discover something that used to be obvious, that used to be a fact. And suddenly you're like, oh wow, but this also is a fact. This is also a fact. So you can say, yeah, I have 10 fingers, that's a fact. Okay, well, you can also say, I have 5 left symmetrical aspect of myself and 5 right symmetrical aspect of myself. And this is another fact. Okay, so facts are malleable. So why do I say that? Because in the concept of the referendum initiated by the citizen, we are getting out of the common sense. We're getting out of what we think we know about the way we can manage a society. And a very important aspect of it that Etienne Chouard worked on for a lot of years is the notion of randomly chosen citizens. And I know this is something that is a bit like, what do you mean, like randomly chosen citizens? Well, today, the election, the way we elect people, actually is manufacturing psychopaths. Why? Because every time we are electing someone, we have to choose someone that wants to be elected, that actually campaign to be elected. And power is a very dangerous thing, because power, like people who want power, should actually be fear like hell. Because only the right people, the wise people who understand the value of power and the value of responsibility don't want to become elected. Like only the wise one actually realize the consequences and the the weight of having to make decisions, because decisions generate consequences. It's not about like sitting on the pilot chair and make decisions, and like this is how kids works, you know, like when you were a kid, you were just sitting on a fake car and you were just driving and you felt like amazing. But then when one day you had to go on a real car, you're like, oh wow, this is not a game. If I'm playing with that car, I can actually kill myself, or if I can kill people. Like there can be huge consequences. So choice comes with responsibility. Same thing with weapons. Like if you give weapons to people who hasn't been trained to use weapons, like, you know, it's something to be a kid and just want to play cowboy and fake this. And this is fun when it's fake. When it becomes real, it's much, much less fun. When you know that you can kill someone or you can injure yourself, like the choice become a real weapon and become very dangerous. So the idea about electing people, the election is basically a process that is going to take people who want power in the place when they should never be, basically. Because only the people who realize the importance of the responsibility of making decisions and how these decisions can have dramatic impact, especially the higher you go, the higher the impact are huge. Like you can actually destroy a whole country by pressing the wrong buttons, you know, the nuclear buttons. Like, so when you elect someone, we have to put the people which are the more conscious of the responsibility that they are. Because today it's a game for them, you know. It's a game. It's about like, oh, being famous. It's about having power. It's about making money. It's about like serving your own individual agenda, not serving the people. So basically what Etienne Chouard did for the last few years is to think about what process could allow us to guarantee the manufacturing of wise representatives, let's call it representative, or speaks people, basically, speaks person. And the only idea that he found out is to actually do the opposite of electing people, which is to randomly choose someone. So basically everyone puts their name into a box and we just randomly choose someone. And the first time you hear this idea, you're like, what? So you're just going to bring the more incompetent, the more stupid, the more incapable people in power. So, well, they're already there. First point, they're already there. Most of them are incompetent, incapable, stupid, and they're already in power. And that's fine, you know, because we think that's the best we can expect from them. Like, they must be lucky in some part, like some of them like must have some talents. It doesn't mean that they have the skills necessary to be human. Because being human isn't just about being successful, it's not just being about rich, it's not just being about being intelligent. Being human is much, much more complex than that, and actually much more simple, by the way. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. So, so the idea is about randomly choosing people. Why? Because when you're randomly chosen, when you haven't decided to be elected, there's actually a big portion of chance that you are a good person. Because only the people who don't want to be elected, don't want to be in charge, should actually be in charge. I know it's a little bit complicated, so let's move forward. So who will actually be able to put their name into a box? First of all, the people who have been exemplary, the good people. And we all know in our neighborhood, in our network, good people. We know them. People that we appreciate for their value. We don't have to accept and agree with everything they are, but we just recognize them as peaceful people, light workers, call them whatever you want, like people who have good heart, who are compassionate, who don't have to be the most educated. That's fine. You don't have to be the most educated to make the right decision. It's about collective intelligence. And this is what the Yellow Vest movement is now moving on. It's that empowerment of realizing what collective consciousness is about and what collective intelligence is about. And the best way to manifest that collective intelligence is not election, is randomly choosing people. So basically, what they said is that, let's say, for example, you will not actually vote for yourself. You will actually vote for a few, you're actually going to put the names of the people that you think would be good leaders. So bear with me just a second. So instead of saying, I think I am the best, or I think I'm a good person, or I think I should be elected, I'm going to say like, wait a second, you know what? The best person that I think today should actually be in a place of power is my dad. My dad is an amazing man. He's very humble, he's very simple, he educated himself, he's questioning, he's courageous, he's someone that I think in my network should be in charge. You don't have to believe me, like And because I believe in him, and because I know him, and because I feel responsible for him, I would actually put his name into that box and say, I think that man should be in charge of our country. By the way, we actually don't think one man should be in charge of the country. I think we think now, and French people are starting to realize this, it's not, like not everyone understands that, like it's coming forwards, but it's going to happen, bear with me. We think that we need to get out of this idea of having one president. First of all, the word president is really irritating, really irritating. Who can deserve to be the president of a nation? Just the words is a psychopath manufacturer, just that word. You can be president of an association if you want to. You can be a president of a business if you want to. But president of a nation, just that notion, just that concept is outrageous. No one should deserve to be president of a nation. You can be the representative of the nation. You can be the spokesperson of the nation. You can be the servant of the nation. Just the words would actually make massive change in their mind. Like, wait a second, you are the servant of the nation. You're not the president of our nation. You are the servant. Just that simple idea will actually triggers people's mind. So first of all, we don't think one people should actually be called president, and we don't think one person should actually take that responsibility of being the chief, because this is an obsolete concept. We actually believe that we should move into a space where there's going to be groups of people who are going to be in charge or representing the nation, like a group of wise people, let's call them this way. Wise men, wise people who are going to represent, who are going to speak on the behalf of the nation. And that process of randomly chosen people is the way we can actually bring people to that space. So how that? As I said, you look around in all your network and you find 5 people that you truly believe are great people that should actually be in charge of the country. And you put their name into a box. Then you vote for them. Let's say you have a platform, an internet platform, and you have you just put that name and say, okay, that this is the name, this is where he lives, or this is the address, whatever. And I think this man should actually be in the box. Okay, fine. You can even vote through Facebook profile, for example. Say, I vote for you because I think you're a good person and I know you and I believe and I trust you. And you do that with the 5 people. You can't vote for yourself, but you can vote for others. When we see the results, all the people who are 20% below, like all the people who only receive just a few votes, and all the people who receive too many, who are too popular, who are too famous, who are too exposed, we remove them basically. We just remove the extreme. We remove the people who are extremely popular and we remove the people who are basically completely unknown, okay? And we keep that threshold, we keep that pool of people who receive enough votes to actually be representing a whole nation. And guess what you're going to find in that space, in that pool? You're going to find a quota of everything that represents that country. in terms of social economics, in terms of gender, in terms of skills and competency. You're going to have like very clever people, very stupid people, and that's fine. This is what a nation is about. And in that pool, you will not choose one person and say, well, congratulations, you are the new president, or you're the new servant of the nation. No, of course not. Those people are simple people, and that's what we love. We love simple people. We want to choose, I don't know, 50, 100, 200 of them, and say, congratulations, guys, now you're going to be in charge of, I don't know, like executing or choosing the laws that are going to be decided by another chamber, for example. Or you're actually going to be a member of the parliament of that chamber. Like, we just chosen your name. Like, let's say, for example, there's 300 people in the parliament, 150 people will be elected professional one, and the other 150 people will be randomly chosen people, simple people. The same way we do that in court. The same way we can actually randomly chosen jury to use common sense to decide how a man should be judged or not. We can also do that politically. We just need to open our mind on the possibility that it could happen. Like, who decided that politics needs to be entirely managed by professionals? Who that? Oh, they did it. Oh, wow, okay. They decided that they are the only competent to tell us how to think, how to do, what we do. The same way they are the only competent to actually write the laws that they should be afraid of, which is called the Constitution. Like, they are the one writing the system, and they are the one telling us that they are the only one capable of deciding for us. Like, you see the scam? You're starting to, it smells like hoax, big hoax. It smells like fraud. Like, if you were a judge, you can be the most moral judge in the world. You can be the most amazing, righteous guy in the world. If you had to put your son in jail, if one day you had to decide whether like you will actually send him for death penalty for whatever reason or not, you cannot do that. The same way people who are today writing the laws that they should fear shouldn't be in power. If they were honorable people, any honorable man in a position of power that you would ask, oh, can you write the laws that you should fear? They would be like, wait a second, this is not fair. Who am I to write the laws that I should fear? So the Constitution should be written by the citizens, by the nation. And there's many, many ways, like we just discussed a little bit about this through the randomly chosen concept, which is something that more and more people needs to be thinking about, more and more people needs to be aware of. This is a concept that people needs to integrate into the discussion and spread that message. Because when you talk about the RIC, well, okay, referendum machine Palestine, okay, what this is, what this concept is about. It's about taking back the initiatives of the power and the decision. Okay, how do you put it in place? Well, have you heard about the randomly chosen concept? And the first reaction is always like, whoa. What, you want to randomly put incompetent in power? Say, well, we just want to find a way to avoid corruption. Because power corrupts, and infinite power corrupts infinitely. So this is something that everyone needs to hear and understand. Hi, Florence. Do you guys follow me so far? Do you have any questions? Do you want me to have a little break so I can answer some questions about this randomly chosen concept? So I'm just going to read. You're actually talking about the president of the Philippines. He's a servant for the country. He's himself as a servant. Every country should need Duterte, especially France right now. Yes, most of the old royalty, most of them, not all of them, but most of the ancient royalty were actually getting that concept of serving the nation. Okay? They were not ruling the nation, they were serving the nation. But since we had that revolution and now money take over power, we cannot have servants anymore. Now we have psychopaths in power. We have the richer, the people with more power which are taking control of the system. Oh, just a second, I'm very annoyed with these messages. Yeah. So yeah, Duarte in Philippines is doing a great job. He's a little bit rough, but I love roughness, so that's cool. I'm cool with him. A council of sages recognized by people to be ethical and in service to what is righteous and best for the whole would be possibility. Yes, yes, Mary. This is the idea. The idea, but the concept is about. It's not about just the idea. It's about how do we put this idea. And by the way, I would like all of you right now that are listening to me to take and realize the responsibility that you guys have by listening to me, which some of you are discovering that concept. Some of you are already aware of it. But for those of you who are discovering that concept, you have the responsibility to process it, to question it, to argue it with people around you, to integrate it, and to spread it. This is your responsibility, because if you don't do that, like the other people who never had a chance to even hear about that concept, you basically condemn them to stay where they are. And you cannot build a future, a positive future, by keeping your brothers and sisters, citizens, like from whatever in the world, unaware of that possibility. Because a revolution can only happen if people are educated, if the idea is understood, and if the people are ready to fight to implement this idea. Okay, that's how revolution works. So that concept of randomly chosen assembly of the wise people is something that is starting to come in people's consciousness, because yesterday we were starting to question our constitution. We were starting to write and take our constitution and be like, okay, if I had to question my constitution, and I was just writing the first amendment, which is that the president of the republic, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, well, I don't like that term, president of republic. First of all, I don't like president, as I already said, but I also don't like republic. Republic comes from res publica. Res is the king, the regis, the race, the king. So again, we're having that pyramidal structure where someone is in power, the king, and everyone else is below. Can we think about another term? Can we think about another way to... What about demos public? What about socio-public, where the society become the organism that organizes itself, self-organized basically, not organized in a pyramidal structure, something more alive, because something that is alive isn't something that is controlled by something else. It's something that fuels itself and organizes itself, and that concept of self-organized thing, which is the definition of life. Okay, the only difference between a stone, let's call it a stone, if stone is not alive, and organic material is that the organic material fuel itself, its own existence. It's just like tune into its own environment and transform what is around into something that's going to give him motion, basically. So if we are only dependent on someone to make decisions on our behalf, no matter if it's parents, no matter if it's a policeman, no matter if it's a doctor, no matter if it's a politician, we actually wait for others to make decisions on our behalf. And this is bringing me to another huge topic, which is police people, military. And I know these topics, it starts to really upset me to see the amount of negative comments that people are putting in this page when I'm sharing the violence that the French people are exposed to. It upset me for two reasons. The first one, it upset me because I just see that rage that is exposed suddenly because you see that, and I understand that rage. I understand that feeling of unfairness and it's unjust. It's really like touching something inside of us that really makes us upset. But what I'm upset about is about how people are silenced when I'm sharing positive information, like information about vaccines, information about energy, information about... people are not interested in those topics. So therefore they don't comment. They don't get interested. They don't watch, they don't share. They're just like, nah, not interested. But as soon as you see a little bit of violence, then suddenly, whoa, how dare you bastards, like piece of shit, nah. All right, let's talk about it for a second. What cops are? Cops are people who basically decided to refuse to be human. I know it's a little bit violent what I'm saying, but bear with me. They refuse to be human. Why? Because what makes humans is not intelligence. Because we know that there's a lot of animals on Earth, insects, like nature is intelligent. So this is not like a particular attribute of us. We are not the only expression of intelligence in this reality. Human isn't just because we are conscious. Okay, consciousness doesn't justify the uniqueness of humanity. Why? Because many animals are conscious, trees have consciousness, stones have consciousness, reality is consciousness. Okay, so people need to update their understanding of what makes them particular. The only particularity that humanity has, as far as I'm concerned, if you compare it to the other realm of species, vegetal, mineral, animals and everything, is free will. Is the capacity to make choice. Not the capacity to make choice, because everything that is alive has that capacity to make choice. The particularity of humanity is the amplitude of choice we can make. Okay? Animal can make choice. They can decide to defend themselves. They can decide to stand and stay as a victim. They can, every aspect of us, like let's say an animal would be more submitted to their instinct, the same way human can be submitted to their instinct. Okay? Some human just stop thinking and just completely are submerged by the instinct. Okay, so instinct it's not the exclusivity of the animal realm. Like human can also follow instinct. It's not the point. Consciousness is not the exclusivity of humanity. Animals have consciousness. The only difference between them is not even choice. They have choice, we have choice. It's the amplitude of choice that is given to us. And therefore, when you get access to the amplitude of choice, you have responsibility. The responsibility to do good, to use your choice wisely. That's what makes human human. And what upset people, I believe, when we see cops beating up weak people, vulnerable people, is that we are upset with the way some humans use their choice, use their free will. Instead of serve and help and support and protect, you are becoming the tyrant. But wait a second, guys. Are we so prompt to judge others? All of us. Are we all that crystal, snow, beautiful, immaculate, pure person that can actually judge others that actually use their choice to do wrong? Like it's really crucial that we start to actually look into ourselves and really start to, like, who am I to judge that person? Okay? What this person is doing basically, it's putting his own personal interest before his value, before his moral, before what he considers to be good and bad. Who is not doing this here? Are we all living in the middle of nowhere with no electricity, with no fuel, with no money, with no job, with no nothing? Are we all sure that we are living in a space where we are not in a way contributing to that madness system that we talk about? And the point is not about, oh, I'm doing more or less. The point is about contributing, fueling that system. We are all responsible, co-responsible of that system. No matter if you're paid to beat up some weak people, or if you're paid to manufacture money, or if you're paid to take energy from others and put your own energy to help others, whatever. Sorry. We are all corrupted. All in this society, the whole concept of this society turn out to corrupt each other by putting that impossible question to choose between my own personal interest and the people that I'm responsible for and my moral. And this is what makes us all crazy. That's what drives us crazy. The fact that we constantly have to choose between respecting our moral and respecting our needs. And this is not okay, because everything could actually be operating in a different way, you know? Like if you're vegan, for example, you're like, but wait a second, you can actually feed your body with protein coming from plants. Well, it's coming from the belief system that there's a hierarchy in life and that plants can be killed and animals cannot be killed. Fine, whatever. Like if you believe that, you then going to establish a moral where the life of an animal is more important than the life of a plant. That's a belief, that's fine. This has to be respected. In the meantime, if you believe that, if this is your belief, then you will not understand why people will actually decide to kill animal, which is going against your moral, and instead of respecting that. And the answer would be, well, because there's an economy, because I like it, because my own interests push me to do it. Okay? So what I'm trying to say is that when we are so easily judging military, cops, people who are using force against others, are we first of all, and I'm not saying it's good or bad, like if you guys feel the need to express it, great. I just want you to own it. I want you guys to own that rage and say, am I really that much upset about what that guy is doing? Or am I upset about what that guy is sending back to myself? And how I am not sometimes as well not respecting my moral. I am not as well doing always the right thing. So in a way, when I see that guy and that guy upset me, I see myself. And I'm upset about against myself. Because when I see that guy beating up a powerless person, the only thing that I see is the usage of power against someone. Who has never done that in their life? Who isn't doing it today? Like if you guys are watching me online on Facebook right now, on telephone, like I hope most of you knows that internet, that telephone, that technology, there's massive amount of chance that a child somewhere has been involved in the production of that technology that you're using right now. And in a way, you are responsible of that slavery, that enslavement of that child, or what allowed that unfairness, this injustice to exist. And I'm not there judging anyone. I'm not there to say that it is wrong. I'm just saying this is what it is. And we have that part as human being to be co-responsible of that situation. And in a way, if we refuse to admit it, we also refuse the ability that we could potentially have to change things. Because it always starts with the acknowledgement of the problem. If you stick on the acknowledgement, then you become a victim. You're like, oh, I cannot do anything because like everything that I'm going to do will have consequences on people. And that's true. It's very fundamentally important to realize that responsibility. However, you shouldn't be stuck in this idea. You should actually transcend it and realize, say, well, if I'm going to be guilty of doing something wrong anytime that I'm going to elaborate or inter-exchange or interact in this reality, in this society, I better choose carefully my choice. I better be the most exemplary person possible. Like if I'm using a phone, well, let's use that phone to spread the right information. Let's use that phone to try to enlighten others. Let's try to use that technology to serve humanity to be a better place. Because the point is not about can we avoid right now to use petrol to drive our car, or to use nuclear electricity to power our house, or to use a telephone that hasn't been in a way involved in child work. That's not the question, that's not the point. It's about when you wear the responsibility of all the damage that we're causing to each other, how can I minimize the manifestation of that by counterbalancing it by good actions, by doing the right choice? As I said before, a human doesn't define itself by consciousness or intelligence. It's actually defining itself with the ethic and the choice to try to bring the best ethic in the world. and promote the best in the world, the best, using their choice to bring good. And yeah, so when we see cops and military doing wrong things, it's a little bit too easy to just like insult them. Because if you were them, if you're living what they lived, if you're thinking what they think, if you were educated where they were educated, if you're growing where they grew up, guess what? You would be them. There would be no difference. You can't just think that, oh, you're better than them because you wouldn't make the same choice. Well, you can make the different choice because you lived a specific type of life that came through specific choices, and those specific choices allow you to understand what you understood, that allow you to realize what you realized, and allow you to become who you are. The same way those people didn't have the same chance. And if you condemn them for them, it's double pain. Yeah, those people are victims of themselves, the same way we all are. And we always, all of us, has been one day the bully of someone, the stupid of someone. We're all stupid to each other. You know, some people can actually look at me today and say, oh, you're fucking stupid. Yeah, of course. I must be stupid in your eyes. That's fair. That's fair. We only judge others based on our own intelligence. That's why we always think that we have enough, by the way. We think that we are intelligent enough because this is how we judge our own intelligence. Isn't that amazing? So you always think that you are enough intelligence because you cannot judge based on what you don't know. You can only judge based on what you know. So by being aware of this process, you can actually realize that judgment, which is like, it's cool. Like, let's be honest, it's cool to judge someone, to just like, just empty the flow and just like, wow, like, you guys makes me feel good because fuck, like, you're so stupid. Great. But then it's very important after you did that to just calm down for a second and be like, yeah, you know what? Just by doing what I did, I actually didn't participate to bring good to the world. So in a way, I been them. I became them. And and that's why the last point has to come, which is the most important. The last point that I want to bring in this conversation today is the notion of forgiveness. Because we are not perfect. If we were perfect, we will not live in this reality. We have been trained to worship people that have been self-proclaimed amazing people. Well, we don't know that. We don't know who's exemplary. We don't know. We just only see people through one tiny little window. We haven't lived their life. So when we see great people and we say, oh, fuck, I'm not that great, it's not about blaming us. It's about forgiving us for not being as good as we wish to be, and forgiving us for having made mistakes, and because by forgiving us, it becomes obvious that we can forgive others. It becomes obvious that we can love others, because compassion is about recognizing reality through all its complexity and let go. Let go. So the idea about judging cops and everything and damaging them, well, there's a sentence that says like, don't beat up stupid people because like they already suffer enough to be themselves. You know, like it's easy to judge others saying, okay, well, and don't get me wrong, I'm judging a lot as well. I'm judging a lot of people. I make a lot of mistakes. The only thing is that as soon as I made a mistake, I'm like, ah, shit. Okay, today wasn't a good day. Fine. I'm a human. I made mistakes. I forgive myself the same way I forgive others. Because this is the only way we can move forwards. We cannot move forwards by claiming to be perfect. We can aim for perfection, knowing that perfection doesn't exist. Or if you want, you can integrate the notion of imperfection inside perfection. To be perfect, you need to be imperfect. Why? Because we live in a limited reality. Perfection in a limited world is impossible because perfection is absolute. As soon as you live in a limited reality, you cannot be absolute. So if you cannot be absolute, you cannot be perfect. So therefore, perfection needs to have in its essence a notion of imperfection. And as soon as you integrate that, you're like, okay, fine, I can reach my perfection in my own imperfection and be satisfied with that. And say, well, I'm just going to be as exemplary as I can, as much as I can. And if I can't, I need to really face myself and really needs to realize that, okay, well, I sucked up here. And I'm going to learn from my lessons, and I'm going to grow and grow and grow, because that's the best we can do. Okay? Just going to read some messages. Okay, MK Ultra, mind control, they aren't your ordinary person, those cops are killing machines. Well, like, as much as you would want to believe that, like, we're all MK Ultra, and sorry Sue, but in a way you must be as well. You must be brainwashed to believe that people are killing machines. Because if you really believe that, you have a problem. Those people are mums and dads. Okay, they are mums and dads. They just program themselves to put their interest before their moral. And their interest mustn't be that far from yours, which is to pay for the bill, pay for the next holidays, pay for the school and everything. As much as you would want to hate them and think that they have been mind controlled and they are killing machines, well, first of all, they're not killing machines, like they haven't killed anyone. They're just frustrated people who are living a cognitive dissonance the same way a lot of us are living it today. A lot of us are living many cognitive dissonance. Like the one that you just expressed. The fact that you think that those people are killing machines is a cognitive dissonance. Because they're not. They're just simple people. And you need to realize that everyone in this reality has the potential to become that. Everyone. Especially if you live the life that they lived, if you made the choice that they made, you will become them. I hope you understand that. It's not a question like yes, there are people who have been mind controlled. Yes, there are people who have been brain damaged. Of course they are. But thinking that every cops in France have been mind controlled is a lie. No, they're just simple people who just made the choice to put their moral behind their personal interest. The same way we all are. As I said before, every time we're using a car, knowing that we're polluting the environment, we do that. It's not about that. It's not about doing the right thing or not doing the right thing. We live in a reality that is very complex. We know that every of our actions have consequences, and we have two options. We can leave the society and live as hermites somewhere and hoping that we're not going to walk on a worm, because if you walk on a worm and you're going to kill a worm, then suddenly your karma will be damaged. Or you can embrace that curse, which is to live in this reality and just try to do good as much as you can with what you have. Those guys think they do good. They're like, oh no, we are holding the nation, because they've been programmed to believe that the nation is the thing that is beyond and over everything. Should we blame them for that? I mean, like when people are doing something wrong and we call the police, we are happy to have police coming there and protect us, okay? And when they do something that doesn't really fit our agenda, suddenly they're demons. They are MK Ultra program killing machine. No, they're not. They just are people who lose discernment. They have lost the ability to discern what is good and what is not good. Okay? It doesn't make them monsters. There's many people on earth who don't have that level of discernment. They cannot discern what is good and what is not good. And even if they were trying to do good, they would actually do wrong. Okay? And by the way, we only know if something is good and if something is wrong after you did it. So it's very complicated before you do something to actually know if it's something that's going to have good consequences or bad consequences. Like in their mind, they think that they're protecting the state and the state is the most important things. Well, because they're ignorant. Because they haven't studied, they haven't learned different perspective on reality. And we all do that. We only know what we know. Okay, I hope it's clear. Another point, another teaching brought to the world was titled How to Become a Man or Woman of Knowledge. Oh, right. Okay, I'd love to get more information about that. It sounds very interesting. Yeah, How to Become Man or Woman of Knowledge. That sounds music to my ears. Thank you, Russell. Who else? What's your thoughts on closing down by everybody staying at home for a week and not go to work? prepare for everybody getting food, stock and medicine for 2 weeks. Yeah, it's a good point. Sacrifice is the key. Little pain goes a long way. And then when you will see the government buckle, yeah, it's a good point. The only problem is that I made a video a few weeks ago in French that that produced a lot of reactions, because basically I was saying, well, it seems that there's 70 to 80% of the population in France which is supporting the Yellow Vest movement. But how much are actually outside in the street on a Saturday afternoon? Less than 1%. So basically what I said is that, okay, fine, we have 70% of the population which is behind the Yellow Vest, 1% is going out. So we have 99% of the Yellow Vest supporters which are cowards. Cowards. And this is what our society has become. We became fucking cowards. Afraid of doing things, of having an opinion, of having, like, we all so prompt to be judging and judging others, and that we actually don't stand for what we think and what we believe. We have people putting thumbs up online and saying, oh yeah, great, go, go, go. And even for me, like, I have many people saying, great guys, I support you, great, thank you for your thumbs up. Like, would I pay my bill with your thumbs up? Am I going to be capable of being powerful in this reality with your thumbs up? How your thumbs up is truly, really helping me today and helping us. Like, it's really a disease to believe that, like, revolution and changing the world will actually operate from sitting on your bum and putting thumbs up online. And this is something that everyone needs to actually, again, after that old speech that I give about choice, action, reality, free will, like, we all need to actually face ourselves. The referendum initiated by the citizen is about empowering ourselves with truth. And the truth is nasty to look at it. It's nasty. Every time that you want to judge others and say, oh yeah, you're doing the wrong thing, wait a second, am I that unjudgeable? Am I that perfect? Okay? So yeah, we have 99% of the French people which are cowards. They didn't like me saying that. But there hasn't been that many people who challenged me, by the way. There hasn't been that many people who said, how dare you say that? You know why? Because they know it's true. And that's the strength of truth, which is so unpleasant. It is so unpleasant to hear. It is so unpleasant to do. I don't enjoy doing it. I don't enjoy having to speak the truth, because truth isn't sexy. We live in a world where lies is sexy. We've been programmed to enjoy lies, to be like shocked by lies. Be like, oh wow, this is a lie, because lie is painful and we become addicted to pain. Like, let's take an example, pornography. Pornography is lie. This is not making love. This is not about love. It's about, like, machinery. It's about, like, flesh. It's not about, it's a lie. We became addicted to that. We became addicted to fake news. We became addicted to lies from politicians. And this addiction generates something really weird in our psyche, saying like, oh yeah, I'm a rebel because I'm putting some verbs online. Well, no, you're not. No, you're not. And it's a very interesting thing that I haven't completely clear in myself. I'd like to dig deep inside myself to really understand, like, where this is coming from. There's something really nasty there that makes us believe that we actually do better than what we actually do, because it requires courage to change the world. It requires taking risk. It requires getting out of the comfortable zone. And again, this is that eternal question around my personal interest and my moral. What do I put first? Can I always put my personal interest? Can I always put my moral first? Because by putting my moral first all the time, I'm basically separating myself from everyone. And if I'm putting my interest first, I'm separating myself from the people that I'm responsible with and responsible for. So it's complicated. It's not that easy. And that's why that notion of forgiveness is crucial. Realize that we're not perfect, that we can aim for perfection if we understand that perfection cannot be perfect, and that we need to forgive ourselves. Okay, it doesn't mean that if I'm saying that people are cowards, you were cowards up to today. Up to today you were cowards, but from today you have a choice that makes you human to actually continue to be that cowards, or to actually become a better version of yourself and make the choice that you're going to fight to bring good on this planet. No matter what you can do, and not just thumbs up, actions, educating, challenging people around, challenging yourself, questioning, getting beyond your limits, because that's what makes you responsible, that's what makes you someone that is respectful. Respect is not something that you can ask from others, it's something that others will actually give you through what you are. Okay? And that's what I'm trying to do a little bit online. I'm trying to inspire others to express a different aspect of themselves and to inspire others to be the same. Okay, I'm not perfect, far from there, I never claim to be. I'm just a simple man trying to educate others to go beyond their boundaries and to face themselves in all the complexity. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that conversation of today. If you like, just share it. That's the best thing you can do. And thank you for all your comments. I can just have a quick look. Thank you, Rio. Is there parents, grandparents trying to teach children to have moral compassion and losing battles, take away basic? That's a huge topic I'd love to talk about next time. Like grandparents, ancient knowledge and all this. Macron is asking for all EU states to regulate the internet. Yes, Macron is doing his job. Like, bear with you. What can you do? Leave Macron where he's doing. Macron is doing his job. What is your job? What are you doing? Thanks, April. It seems that every day another scandal is undercover. The average Canadian is very peaceful. Even our military once ever called peacemaker. Well, peace is relative. Reality is violent. Okay, so peace can only be done when you have equality. And right now there's no equality. We have people in power and you are servant. And instead of they being our servant and we become the people in power. So we need to have equality. And that's where we need to think about this whole concept of randomly chosen people, changing the res public, republic to demos public, socio public. We need to think about that concept of the council of the wise. We need to bring all those ideas in people and challenge and talk and discuss and argue and challenge and disagree and agree and find consensus. And this is not simple. This is not something that I can do for you guys. I can only give you I can only trigger the curiosity. But if you're not doing the job with your friends, with your family, if you're not sharing this video, then your reality will not change. Your reality will stay exactly the same. Which is great because it's going to give you another opportunity to condemn others and saying, oh, you acting wrong. Well, have you done your job? Have you did what you could when you could? Okay? Thank you all. Have a great day and see you next time. Bye-bye.